Oh my goodness. Greetings, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here. Today's nonsense is in Historic, and we're going to be trying to take advantage of Seven Dwarves. We did this on stream a bit ago, and it failed to break the meta, and people were upset, so we moved on. But I am not yet finished with the Seven Dwarves. We are trying to make... We've tried Seven Dwarves in the past a number of different times, even with a few clone effects, but at the end of the day, we never really committed. Today, that ends. We're going to commit Seven Dwarves. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Seven Dwarves is a 2-mana 2/2, but when it gets +1/+1 for each other creature named Seven Dwarves you control. A deck can have up to Seven Dwarves. So, normally when you're kind of running a combo deck, you want to have redundant pieces. So you're not just reliant on just one card, right? So for instance, like the Heliod deck or whatever, there's only just one Heliod. So they pull out another, like the Cleric class. It's not as good. Heliod much, much better. But it does serve as backup pieces. And that way, if you don't draw into your Heliod, you have a backup. Well, in this case, Seven Dwarves doesn't need that so much because there's 7 of them. So essentially, you've got almost 2 play sets of your combo card, right? The issue is they rely on having multiple copies in there together. So how many are you expecting to get in a given game? If you have 4 of a card in a game, there's a very, very good chance you'll see one every game, give or take. But with just 7, there's no guarantee we're going to see more than one. But that's why we're committing, folks. Holographic Double. Choose a creature card in your hand, conjure a duplicate. Okay, I'm sure you understand where that's going. Sinister Reflections. Conjure a duplicate of each of up to 2 target non-token creatures you control to your hand. Okay. Glasspool Mimic, obviously here to copy and as land drops. And then Quasiduplicate as well. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, and then Jumpstart so we can cast it again from the bin by discarding a card and paying its mana cost. What else do we have going on here? Well, okay. We have a lot of cards because we're only running 19 lands because we are running the 4 Glasspool and a couple of Spikefield Hazards for good measure as well. But then we're also going to be running some Bonecrusher Giant as interaction, so they're kind of 2-drops, and some Brazen Borrower as interaction as well. So we're actually a little bit lower to the ground than it kind of appears. But these also serve a very important role. Being a 3-power flyer with evasion, if we end up having to copy Brazen Borrower, it can still end the game relatively quickly, right? Similarly, Bonecrusher Giant, you don't really like targeting it because you take extra damage, but it is a 4/3. So we get a couple of these down. Yeah, it'll make things happen as well. Then similarly, we do also have some Sweltering Suns just for those matchups where we're like, oh crud, we're on the draw against elves, and they go turn 1 Llanowar Elf or something, But we're also running, it is Sweltering Suns instead of, let's say, Anger of the Gods. Exiling cards is very good. So, like in the Phoenix matchup, things like that, Anger of the Gods would be better. But we're trying to be as all-in as is reasonable. So we want the Sweltering Suns just so we can cycle it away if necessary, right? So, will it work? I don't know. Let's go find out. All right, folks, here we are up against Timeless. Good luck, Timeless. And this hand's a little bit awkward, but I think it's worth keeping. We do have interaction, and we have some, Glasspool Mimics. So as long as we draw something for those Glasspool Mimics to copy, might be able to get it done. Notably, again, Bonecrusher Giant being able to be copied by the Glasspool Mimics. A fine backup plan. So we'll see. All right, we're going to go with a Glasspool Shore to start things off, of course, because we need to make our land drops. Trying to debate, well, Sinister Reflections is kind of nice, but didn't make a land drop, so we have to go that direction. Now we're trying to decide how to go about this. Part of me was wanting to run out Bonecrusher Giant, or, you know, just to get a creature onto the board for the Sinister Reflections and whatnot. But we elect to go this direction. Bonecrusher Giant, their face, see if it gets countered. No. Hold on to the Holographic Double and pass turn. Well, we are very much not drawing into our Seven Dwarves. So we decide we need to get a little bit aggressive here. Pop down a Bonecrusher Giant and Holographic Double to go on the backup plan. Crash in with Bonecrusher Giant and kill an Archmage. All right, but we finally do draw into the Seven Dwarves. That's kind of nice. Of course, naturally not until after we did our thing, but all right, Adeliz, the Cinderwind comes down. Does a little opting and crashes in for 3. Our opponent wants to race? That seems unwise. But all right. We will help you with that race. Do a little bit of copying. Use our copied Bonecrusher Giant to kill off their Adeliz and crash in with Seven Dwarves as well. Opponent at 8 life. Doesn't know it, but they're facing lethal. Opponent Lava Coils our Bonecrusher. Inconvenient. But, you know, also certainly not the end of the world. We briefly debate how to go about this. Elect to drop a Seven Dwarves and Bonecrusher, the creature, because they could cast a, like, a 3/4 wizard or a 4/4 wizard or something that Bonecrusher couldn't take care of. And if they did remove, have more Lava Coils or something and remove our Seven Dwarves, we might not be able to kill them. So we thought, well, let's just save the Fading Hope, see what happens. And, I mean, whether it was correct or not, kind of irrelevant, but we have Glasspool Mimic and the Fading Hope for lethal. GG, opponent. GG. Okay, folks, here we are up against Monsoon. We need to take a mulligan so that we can get the same hand right back. Essentially, not quite, but you know how it feels sometimes, you know. And we're gonna lead off with an island, and sure enough, on the backup plan already. Really wanted to get some of those Seven Dwarves before we did that, but naturally we didn't draw them until it was too late. So, alas, is what it is. We do get our Seven Dwarves down now. Interesting. Draw another Seven Dwarves. That's kind of nice. So we use the Quasiduplicate. So if we do come up with some of the holographic imitations or whatever the heck that card's called, we could interact. And, well, shoot, we don't draw land. This is a touch awkward. It's tempting to interact there, but we decide, no, let's just be more mana efficient and pop down our Glasspool Mimic. Opponent sweeps our board with Undo Inversion. Not ideal. So we go with Seven Dwarves. Opponent goes with Yorion. Spark doubles the Yorion. Holy crud. Well, that's not great. I guess we Seven Dwarves, no attacks. Oh my goodness. So this is not at all how we expected this game to end. But alas, we take 5 from Yorion, the Spark Double. Draw land, which would have been good earlier, but you know, now it's like doing a lot of nothing. We figure let's make another Seven Dwarves, and maybe our opponent will be too scared to attack. That's not true. They Genesis Ultimatum instead. You know, sometimes, folks, you're the lawnmower. Other times, you're the grass. GG, Monsoon. GG. All right, folks. Here we are up against Kuros. Good luck, Kuros. And briefly debate our land drop here. end up going with Spirebluff Canal, seeing if we draw into more mana. You know, it could be awkward if it ends up being a tapped land, but it is what it is. Now, we do draw Holographic Double, which is interesting. We do decide, you know what? Let's put it off and just make more Seven Dwarves while they're in hand here. Our opponent goes with Bloodthirsty Adversary. Well, that's not great. Okay, Seven Dwarves, come on down. Opponent goes to the mountain. Cordial Vampire? Is our opponent on black-white or black-red vampires? Good heavens, that's scary. Well, these things are annoying. We elect to Seven Dwarves. Oh my goodness, it's another Cordial Vampire. Yeah. None of this is good. Opponent gets in, gets in. Yeah. We block. Opponent Infernal Grasps our other Seven Dwarves, so we send back the Cordial Vampire. Unfortunately, our creatures trade, and then their Bloodthirsty Adversary grows. The good news here is that we do have Fading Hope for their Bloodthirsty Adversary. Spirebluff Canal can go away. Unfortunately, they just get to get it right back, which is not ideal. We do decide to shock in and kill the Cordial Vampire because the thing is causing us endless headache. That was not an intentional attack. Did not want to attack there. Oh no, Soren. Shoot. All right, this is not looking good. And opponent attacks in for 4 with that Bloodthirsty Adversary. And Viper that Ironman. Okay, well, we get a Holographic Double. Which is kind of nice. We want to kind of represent removal there. None of this feels great, though. Not going to lie. If the opponent knows what Soren does, we're likely to lose this game. Well, and they give us a shot. So we double up on the Bloodthirsty Adversary. The opponent goes to 25. Knight of the Ebon Legion. Yay. That is bad news bears, and the opponent has Culligan's Command. All right. Good enough for us. GG, Kuros. GG. All right, folks. Here we are up against Los 7. Good luck, Los 7. Okay, well, we're going to start with Holographic Double on the Seven Dwarves to make another Seven Dwarves. Then on turn 2, cast the Seven Dwarves. Okay. We draw some Quasiduplicate actions, so we're able to make a copy of the Seven Dwarves. Kinda nice. We do have these Fading Hopes hanging out as well. Oh, boy. Interesting. Trying to decide how to go about it. Decide Quasiduplicate to get rid of the superfluous land is kind of the better plan. And then just Fading Hope. I mean, sure. Holographic Double? Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. GG. Okay, folks. Here we are up against Hamulus. And yeah, I mean, that's fine. We'll take a mulligan, unfortunately, but it's okay. We send away a clone effect, but we do have several Seven Dwarfs, so that much is good. Opponent has Cavalcade of Calamity. Eee. Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. Eee. Alright, well, that is scary. Fine. Well, we get a land. Briefly debate how to go about this. There's a number of different lines we could take here. We decide, let's just go with the Seven Dwarves. I think that was probably not ideal. We were probably supposed to Glasspool Mimic instead. But we're not sure if we're going to need it for a land, you know? Alright, so we block. Take about 40. Opponent has Gingerbrute, Shock. Shocks are Seven Dwarves, not ideal. And gets another Gingerbrute. Oh boy. Or I'm sorry, Legion Warboss. That card is very, very good. Alright, we're in a bit of a pickle again. We don't know if we're supposed to shock or not. But we decide it is the better plan. So we send back the Gingerbrute. Kill the Chandra, because that Chandra is very, very threatening with the Cavalcade out. Opponent goes with Legion Warboss and another Gingerbrute. Or I'm sorry, and the same Gingerbrute again. Darn it. I keep trying to give them an extra in Gingerbrute. They don't deserve it. They really don't. This is not their Gingerbrute. Cavalcade of Calamity doing its thing. Well, alright. We draw another Sweltering Suns. Those are generically good, but, you know, catching the beat down for sure. Opponent has Chandra Spitfire. Holy crud. And another Legion Warboss. Good heavens. Cavalcade of Calamity making things happen here, but the Gingerbrute doesn't have enough mana to activate. So we do the appropriate blocking, and our opponent is tapped out. Haha, don't mind if I do. Yes, yes, yes. Let's crash in for 12, please. And we have a backup Fading Hope as well. Feels good, man. And Chandra has a backup here. I mean, good lord. Doesn't get much closer than this, I'll tell you. Yeah. In retrospect, we could have just Fading Hoped the Chandra so we didn't have to go through those triggers, but, you know. Being careful and all that. Alright. Get in there. GG. Holy crud. That was wild. Alright, folks. We're up against Psycho Nurse. Good luck, Psycho Nurse. Uh-oh. It's Mono Red again. Mono Red, folks, often the fun police. You know, when you go to do something off the wall here. Darn it. When you go to do something off the wall here, you got to be careful. Because Mono Red has this uncanny ability to count to 20. And if you're not careful, they will fun police you right out of the game. So, opponent goes with Magma Jet. Does a little scrying. We Bonecrusher Giant away their 1-2 that will eventually be a 2-2, the G2 Lava Runner. And then just cast Bonecrusher Giant. Bonecrusher Giant typically blocks pretty well, things like that. Opponent chooses to Wizard's Lightning it. Takes 2 for their trouble, and of course, activates their Grim Lavamancer. Fair enough. Well, no land drop. Awkward. Trying to decide how to deploy our hand. We have a lot of cards, but, you know, without the extra mana, it's really kind of making things difficult. We do decide to... We draw Steam Vents, which is great, but we do decide not to deploy it just yet. We go with the Bonecrusher Giant to block, because we also don't... We just don't want to shock against the Mono Red deck, you know? At least not at this stage in the game. Alright, well, it's time, folks. It is time for the Dwarves. We do elect to make a land drop, just so that, should things, you know, I don't think it's going to come down to us not having all this other stuff. And sure enough, wow, we do draw the untapped land. Holy crud, that's fantastic. We're able to Sinister Reflections, 7 Dwarves, 7 Dwarves, and I'm not great at math. That's 14 minus 14. I'm pretty sure that means 0. GG, Psycho Nurse. GG. Good lord. Alright, folks. We're up against Hacho Man, and unfortunately we have to take a mulligan here. Not a big deal. We end up with a serviceable 6. Has several of the things we're trying to accomplish. And the even more unfortunate is we're on the mulligan against elves. Not great. So, we're not particularly thrilled about this situation, but oh boy, Fading Hope off the top is exactly what we needed. If we just let them untap with that much mana, they would likely, you know, kill us, essentially. But our Fading Hope kind of was a time walk, honestly. So we briefly debate Sinister Reflection. Elect to Quasiduplicate instead. We need to get the 4th toughness so our Sweltering Suns doesn't get our 7 Dwarves, you know? Good heavens. That's a lot of power and toughness. But, folks, Swelter. GG, Hacho Man. GG. Alright, folks, here we are up against 9 lives. Good luck, my 9 lives. We have an awkward hand, but, you know, we put Sweltering Suns in the deck because we want it. So, if Sweltering Suns is good, this hand is good, I guess. Do draw another 7 Dwarves, which is good. Uh-oh. Patchwork Automaton. That thing grows pretty quick, and it will quickly invalidate our Sweltering Suns' removal, so we do decide to sweep. Glasspool Mimic is good. Gives us ways of advancing our board with 7 Dwarves. Hey! That's kind of nice. So we Glasspool Shore as a land. 7 Dwarves. Planning on 7 Dwarves, Sinister Reflections. Oh boy, don't mind if I do. Alright, feels good, man. Let's crash in for 3. Opponent with an island and Psymaster Thopterist, and they start going off. Good heavens. Well, maybe not as much as I was afraid of. And sure enough, crash in for 10. That'll assist. Okay, that's a strong card for sure. Briefly debate our options and then realize, oh no, this is great. A Swelter. Our opponent unfortunately has Disruption Protocol, which is not great. So then we're like, well, do we attack or not? We know they trade a 7 Dwarves, but they, you know, they're kind of forced to chump the other 2, which still feels worth it. Because we do have 7 Dwarves, another Sweltering Suns. We have the Brazen Borrower. You know. Definitely feels worth it here. Opponent has Reality Heist, trying to refill their hand. Goes with Tormod's Crypt, make a dude. Shadow Spear, make a dude. Fair enough. GG, opponent. GG. Good lord, that was a wild one for sure. Glad we got the win though. All right, folks, we are back, and honestly, we had a great time. The deck definitely did a lot better this time than it did on stream. I would say that, you know, it was like still, yeah, I don't think it's going to break the meta or anything. We're still, you know, kind of memeing a bit and everything, obviously. But it did fine. It really did. On stream, we had backup copies of 7 Dwarves as Charmstray and Thieves Guild Enforcer at, you know, in 2 different builds of the deck. I think just going with the blue-red is much better, right? Just streamline it more, make the deck much more efficient. You know, the backup plan of Bonecrusher Giant or Brazen Borrower is quite good, so I think it's quite worth it. As far as other things I might change, I don't know. I would love to hear what you would say, because, you know, if we could do something with this deck, it'd be a lot of fun. That said, I had a great time. I encourage you to fool around with it if you've got a bunch of it. You know, just kind of laying around. A lot of staples in here, so I wouldn't be surprised if you did. And get back to me. Let me know how you feel about it. That said, I will catch you all next time.